I watched my review of Bloc Party's last album 4 in preparation for this new record Hymns, and I realized that my hair was pretty much the exact same length whenever I recorded that album review, compared to this one 4 years later. If only Bloc Party's album was so consistent. Hey everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of album number 5 by alternative band Bloc Party. They're from the UK and this album is called Hymns. It's been another 4 years in between records for them. Lead singer Kelly did his solo stuff. Wasn't really huge into that, but there were definitely some jams on that last solo project that he put out. Really enjoyed their last album 4, A Weekend in the City, and even most of Silent Alarm. Really love those records. Even parts of Intimacy I think are underrated for sure. And I was excited for a new release, so were tons of fans. But it was clear that they would be going in a different direction whenever they announced this album, and you knew it was going to be sonically different just because they lost 2 key members of this band, their bassist, and most importantly, I feel like their drummer. And does that show on the new album Hymns? Yes, absolutely. Now, to be fair, this was an intentional decision, obviously. They wanted to go for a more personal connection. Kelly basically presents this as something like falling out of his journal. Each song is a page, it feels like to me. And not all of the pages of your diary that you wrote as a child were interesting. Now, were they? Look, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. This album bores me. I listen through it and I hear potential. I hear good songs and I hear good sections. I hear parts that I like. But then we get especially to the second half of this thing and I'm just finding myself twiddling my thumbs, not knowing what to do with myself because I can barely sit through another listen. I gave this album plenty of plays, but it was hard to sit through from start to finish. It's 48 minutes long. It's not even the longest album they've put out, but it definitely feels like it. It's centered around themes of crumbling relationships, trying to rebuild, rekindle, and then move on, and that's something that I've seen a lot of in albums that I've covered so far in 2016, and not to say that that's the reason that it feels tedious to me, it's the fact that it's so poorly executed. Some of the lyrics here, and on some of these tracks, I mean in particular, lines off of Fortress stand out to me. When we sex, we hear the beat and it's so serene. Who the fuck says when we sex? Kelly, is that something that you say in real life? I didn't think so. This song is just so flat on an instrumental level and his vocals are just reaching up into this super high range and it doesn't sound good. It's the most dull song about penetration I've heard in a long time and it's completely unflattering on so many different levels. These ideas seem to carry over into other tracks in the back half like Exes, My True Name, Into the Earth, and that track does have something going for it instrumentally, but I don't think the guitars here are enough to say it. They get a little bit monotonous and run together as the track goes on, and some of Kelly's lyrics here are just totally asinine. The songwriting struggles all throughout, and it seems like his solo stuff is bleeding into Bloc Party big time. I don't know how happy fans are gonna be about that, because I personally am not that pleased. There's moments where it seems like he's onto something and catches something a little bit intelligent and it seems like it's getting a little bit insightful, like on the track Different Drugs at the end of that song wherever the repetition kicks in the outro. I like that. It seems like he's mixing things up, and in fact what I've heard in terms of some fan theories is the fact that it switches up because they're talking about different drugs, they're on different levels, that's what he's using to compare there, that's why the voice shifts kick in. As much distaste as I might have for the back half of this record, Virtue excluded, that definitely is becoming one of my jams on Hymns, I do like the majority of the first half. It's a grower, not a shower, and I know that's an age-old excuse, but I really did find myself settling into some of these tracks with repeated listens. I love the guitar line and the melody on So Real. It gets stuck in my head all throughout the day. It's so serene, it's calming, and it's an effect that really works here. If they could carve out more moments like that, because their guitarist is the only other remaining founding member other than Kelly himself, and I like the fact that he's here on this album, I like the fact that he's still with the band, but he doesn't step up to the plate half the time. It feels like he's just playing around with his effect pedals, like on The Love Within and even Virtue. Not knocking the use of the pedals, in fact Russell claims that he did not play any synthesizers on this record. The bassist handled all of that. Russell has definitely handled some of that in the past, but I don't really care for the fact that Virtue and The Love Within sound so similar in terms of the effects that are used in the intros of those songs. They definitely grew on me with time. The Love Within, first play, No. You were talking to me about it, I didn't like it. I would have said, no, this is Bloc Party going in a direction that I am not on board with. Alternative dance, they've tried it before, they pulled it off a whole lot better. I'm talking about intimacy there. No, I'm gonna dismiss this. But coming back to it a couple of months later, it fares and bodes much better with me. The Love Within probably has the catchiest chorus on the entire project. I can definitely see now why it was released as the lead single. And then of course we got the follow-up track, The Good News, released as the second promotional single from this project. It's one that has kind of a more Western-leaning vibe, I dare say. I feel like I've heard that a little bit from them in the past, and it seems like they're exploring it a little bit more here. I like the way the guitar cuts in there, the chorus, the way the vocals are kind of layered on top of each other there. It sounds pretty good. That leaves only one song to discuss in the first half of this record, and that's Only He Can Heal Me, and it's one that was a bit baffling to me at first. It takes these themes of religion and tries to apply it to different situations. I didn't exactly grasp it the first few times around, but I'm sitting with it now, and it's resonating a little bit more. I kind of like the use of the almost cathedral-styled vocals. It feels like a choir meets like classic Gothic or something like that, and it's a very dark tune, and it works, and it has a certain edge to it that has me coming back to it. I don't think the lyrics are anything to write home about, but it feels like they were trying a little bit harder on this tune, and that's something that I can't say for like almost 3/4 of this album. It's really disappointing for me to say that. I've been a fan of Bloc Party in the past. I started listening to them in 2005. I heard the song Helicopter on the Burnout Revenge soundtrack, picked up A Weekend in the City when it came out in 2007, and even dug some parts of Intimacy and obviously got back into them with 4. It was kind of a reconnection. And now 4 years later, it just kind of feels like they're slowly drifting off the radar. A little blip that's like right here, and suddenly it's just gonna go out of focus. What can I say, guys? Hymns just isn't my cup of tea. Overall for this thing, I think the replay factor is pretty low. There's a couple of songs that I definitely do dig on the project, and I think you guys will as well. I'll link to one of my favorites in the description. Personally, I'm feeling a 2.5. Thanks so much for watching the video, hitting the like button on it, subscribing to the channel, because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. You can click directly below me if you'd like to see the last review that I did, or my review of Bloc Party's last record. If you're curious, check out my second channel for more content from yours truly. It's linked in the description down below, along with Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everything like that if you want to connect with me there. Thanks so much for watching. If there's any other videos that you would like to see me do, particular artists, particular top 10, something like that, definitely sound off in the comments. Other than that, I'll see you guys very soon, right here on ARTV.